All right, welcome to the studio. It's time to get real. You know, I've been sharing unreal audio, which is, my pursuit. But let's get back to reality here for most of us. And that is to do a much simpler system in the garage. I think this is going to be the most popular system. This would be like the Karcher pressure washing system, or the active pressure washing system that we sell, infinitely more of than we do the Krenzla. Of course, we all aspire to get to the Krenzla, but many of you, even if you have a Krenzla, you're not an audio guy, but you'd like some decent speakers in the garage, or you're just starting out, you're younger, or you're just sort of starting out in this garage thing where you're getting your garage set up. This I think is the way to go. So I'm going to explain this option, and we'll compare it to, I've got another video coming, which would be what we would call a passive option. So this is active wireless, and then we'll talk about passive wired, but that'll be in a separate video with different products. So the first thing you could choose, and this is the least expensive and I think the smartest option if you're building a wireless system. Now, these all still need to be plugged in the wall, so it's not technically wireless, but this is more wireless than a wired system, if you will. So what you're looking at here, these are PSB AM5s. They also make a little guy, an AM3, which can work, decent in the garage. I would want a minimum of AM5s if I were you. If you're just starting out and you're really price conscious, for 300 bucks, I think it's for 400 bucks. These are 600 bucks a pair. I think the AM3s today are 400 bucks a pair, $399 a pair. I didn't want to unbox another set, but they just have a smaller woofer than the AM5s. But AM3s, AM5s, simple, basic setup. So to start your system in the garage, ignore the fancy little node here in the middle. What you can do, buy a pair of these. So we'll have the package set up. It'll come with 35 feet of speaker wire, because the wire that this comes with is junk. So you don't want to use the wire that comes in the box. It'll be basically this combination. One of the speakers needs to plug into the wall, so there's an AC to DC converter, AC to DC converter. And you'll notice that the way these speakers are set up, this one is a passive speaker. That's where the speaker wire comes in, and then this side is the active speaker, or the amplified speaker, which has the speaker terminals. This also has our inputs. So the simplest, most basic system for your garage is to buy a pair of these. We'll do it as a package, so our base wireless package includes a pair of these. Pick your color. These come in black and white, I believe, only. So satin black, satin white, and just so you can see, is an inverted tweeter woofer design. I'm telling you, the magic of these speakers, especially in your garage, it's a ferrofluid cooled aluminum dome tweeter, 3/4 inch tweeter. Whatever Paul Barton, the engineer behind these, does is magical. It's totally about price consciousness. This again reminds me a lot of the active pressure washer, but even higher quality than that. So the quality of the sound is much better than the materials. It's just a really simple, really basic, satin black speaker. It's a vinyl wrap speaker. You can even see the sort of the seam on the bottom here. But they're when you get them, just expect it's a lot of tech, a lot of sound quality for 600 bucks. It has a NAD is the amplifier technology, Class D amplifier, and so this speaker is the active speaker. This is the passive speaker. They connect to each other with the speaker wire, and you've got yourself a self-contained system. I actually like them better with the grills off, so I take the grills off and punt them, throw them in a cabinet or throw them in the trash, something like that. But I like them like this. And so with this, I'm not going to show you the setup. If you can't set this up, then you probably shouldn't buy speakers. But you're going to connect the speaker wires, plug into the outlet, and then you're going to connect via Bluetooth. Simple as that. I would also suggest you read the manual real quickly. There's a remote control that comes with this. You want to set up your modes. I leave it in the base mode. I think it has 5 different modes, so I'm leaving it in the regular. It's not called base mode, the standard mode. And so you leave it standard. I bring it 1 notch up on bass and 1 notch down on treble. Is how I like. That's what I. In most rooms, most garages, that's what I think sounds the best. And so connect to your phone via Bluetooth, either AAC and Apple or aptX Bluetooth on your Android stuff, if you're unfortunate enough to have one of those, and you're rolling. Now it's Bluetooth sound. So if you're wanting to listen to Tidal or a Qobuz, or you're wanting to listen to 24-bit, 192 kilohertz, high-res stuff above CD quality, or even like Spotify Hi-Fi, CD quality, 16-bit, 16-bit, 44 kilohertz stuff. You're not going to get that through Bluetooth capability or Bluetooth functionality. I forget what aptX HD. These are aptX only, I believe. Don't hold me to that. It doesn't matter. It freaking works. So let's just say it works. Get your phone, connect to Bluetooth, you got your speakers. That's step 1. So the base wireless package is like 600 and whatever this is, 20, 30 bucks or something like that with a speaker wire. Next step up would be your next logical step would be to add a subwoofer. And so we'll have a subwoofer option here, and we'll have a wired option or a wireless option. If you'll notice, on the back of our unit here, you have a sub-out connection. And so this sub-out connection, and you also have a sub button, so you do have sub control. Also, make sure if you're ever listening to these speakers and they sound kind of weird, they don't sound so good, you may have hit the sub button, and it changes the crossover, and this diverts some of the bass from the speakers back to your subwoofer. You'll know it'll sound like crap unless you have the subwoofer connected. When you do have the subwoofer connected, you want to press the sub button, changes the crossover, sends anything 80 hertz and below to the subwoofer, and then the speakers will play up from there. And so if we do a wired connection, it's pretty simple. We're going to come out of the back of our unit. We'll have a RCA connection that runs from here into your subwoofer. I don't have a subwoofer option yet for these. I don't think most people are going to buy a $2,400 Dynaudio Sub 6. I don't love the Sub 3 version from Dynaudio, so I'm attempting to nail down SVS and see if I can convince them to let me sell the stuff. I'm also not in love with the PSB subwoofers as much as I am the PSB speakers, so I'm not going to carry those. If you do want a PSB sub, I can order one for you, but you can do a very simple wired option. Since this is wireless, I think the way to connect a subwoofer will be with our little wireless setup here. And so if we were going to do that, it would look like this. So I would come out of the back of my speaker right here. I'd go into my transmitter with this Y adapter. We'll include all these cables as part of the package. So after you select your speaker, you select your wireless speaker version. You can choose to add a Bluesound NODE or not, which we'll talk about in a minute, or you can choose to add a subwoofer add-on. And so this is an OSD audio subwoofer transmitter. You can use this with any subwoofer you have. And then we have the subwoofer receiver, which same thing, Y adapter. And I'm going to take and go, most subwoofers have a left and right in, or you could just connect one with the low frequency effect or LFE in, so either way works. And so that's our wireless subwoofer option. And now that I think about it, I think with the wireless speaker setup, I think we'll keep it simple and just do a subwoofer add-on, wireless subwoofer add-on, because if our speakers are wireless, we probably want to do a wireless subwoofer as well, just keep things simple and organized. So when you go to the wireless section of this package, you're going to choose your speaker, choose your color, then you're going to choose, do you want to add on a streaming DAC, digital to analog converter? Do I want to add in a high resolution player, if you will? And this is a absolutely magical combination, by the way. And you can upgrade to this, you can work your way toward this. It's one cable, one optical cable. So that's what we're adding on to this. Very, very simple system. You can choose it in white or black. And so this will take your even inexpensive speakers, your AM5s, and allow you to play 24-bit, 192 kilohertz files off of Tidal, which is a subscription service, or Qobuz, which is another competing subscription service. I use Tidal, and so this is basically a little, it's like a little Mac Mini. It's like a little PC. I think it's a 1.85 gigahertz, pretty stout little ARM system on a chip processor in this Bluesound NODE. And so the way that we do this, what's beautiful about this is the speaker. Turn it around again for you. The speaker has an optical in. Boom. The the Bluesound NODE has an optical out. Let's open up our Velux cable here from Metra, just a simple 1 meter cable. I'm going to plug into the optical out after I take off the, there we go, yeah. It's not my first rodeo, but dang, that one tricked me. We'll just leave the little zip tie on here. So I go optical in and optical out. I'm going to connect, just for simplicity here, I'm going to connect my speaker wire from left to right. So that is one thing. These are wireless, but you still have to plug it into the wall and you still have to run a speaker wire. Where this really helps is that I don't need an amplifier. And so this is where you have to make a choice. Do you want, are you gonna, I would start with AM5s if I was price conscious. Start with these, then add a Bluesound NODE. But if I had a choice, there's another package, so make sure to go check out this video. The other way to do this would be to buy PSB P5s and a Bluesound POWERNODE. So I would choose that option. The reason why I choose the POWERNODE over the NODE setup is it's going to be about the same cost. So let's think about this: $600 for the pair of AM5s, and then $600. I think it's $550 today, but let's just say $600. So $1,200 for the combination. If I do a POWERNODE, I think the POWERNODE is $900. And the P5s are $450. So what am I, $1,350 versus $1,200? So same same ballpark, within $100 of each other. The reason why I would choose, if I was going to do this from the get-go, from the start, if I was going to do a system like this, the reason why I choose the POWERNODE, again, is more amplification. It's 80 watts per channel rather than this is, I think, 50 watts. So a better amplifier in the POWERNODE, but the operating system is the same. So if you're taking this path, because you still have to run speaker wire from left to right. So to me, running speaker wires, left and right, in most cases, especially if you're putting on top of your cabinets, would be fine. So think about this logically. If I'm doing this system, I have one speaker wire instead of two if I'm doing a passive system. But the advantage of this package is that if you're taking the pathway to a node, like if you're not going to buy the node right off the bat, this allows you to use the speakers for now, and then you can add the node and improve your sound quality later. And you may decide to never even do that. I mean, it's not absolutely necessary. The other thing, if you're lucky enough, you would want to run a network connection as well, just to make it as stable as possible. But these do have a great Wi-Fi connectivity. So this is a wireless package for $1,200 something, let's say $1,300, and you've got yourself a pretty awesome little system. Now, if you do add the node, you'd want to take your subwoofer connection out of the speaker, and I think you go into the node. So I would make that same connection. Just take the wire out of the speaker, put it into the subwoofer output of the node, and you're good to go. So let's get into, I'll show you we'll bring in some footage from a previous setup video, and I'll show you how to set up the node so that you know how to do that. BlueOS. Takes a second to load because I haven't been using it. If I go home, boom, there it is. Now I've already connected it, so it'll take another minute or so to connect. But there's my Node. From a tuning perspective, drop this from your vocabulary, bass and treble adjustments. You can do that on this unit if you go to audio settings here, but I would highly suggest you not mess with that. This is where you would go and turn your subwoofer on or off and adjust the crossover. So it does have a subwoofer crossover functionality. And again, you can adjust tone controls, you can adjust bass and treble. I would suggest you listen to the speakers as they were intended, as they were tuned. The thing I love about the BlueOS app is the playlist. The playlists are actually, I think, better. So you have all these mixes that Tidal creates that apparently are more difficult to find in the actual native Tidal app. But the beauty is now when I'm playing, Lucifer here, and I'm playing it onto or through the Node, it is native. So this is just a remote control. The actual playing and processing is done with the really sophisticated system-on-a-chip processor, the ARM processor inside of the Node. The Node is then playing, and it even tells me here, I don't know if you can see that, but see how there's an MQA right there, really tight on the screen. So I'm getting 24-bit, 192 kilohertz audio on my Node. POWERNODE functionality is identical. All right, so let's leave reality here and let's go to something a little bit higher end, and that's where our beautiful looking Dynaudio Xeos next to our AM5s. So Xeos are these $2,500 a pair, something like that. So we're into another stratosphere of expense, of cost. And what you're going to get with this pair of Xeos, now this isn't my first preference of an audio system for the garage, but it is an option. The reason you would do this, the reason you would set this up, is that there is no wire from speaker to speaker. So if you have an application or your garage is set up where you just don't have the ability to run a wire from left to right, what you can set up is, I can set up a Node or I could skip the Node. These speakers plug, so each speaker needs to plug into the wall, but these have a wireless bridge or a wireless connectivity between each other. It's 24-bit, 96 kilohertz is how these communicate from left to right. Amazing silk dome tweeter. So that's the signature Dynaudio tweeter, Dynaudio MSP woofer. This one has, this is the 5.25 inch woofer. They also have a Xeo 10, which is, I believe, $1,500 a pair today. And so these have wireless technology that connect from A to B. So let's sort of take the Node out of the equation so I can explain this really quickly. You know, you could buy a pair of these. Silk dome tweeter, it's fantastic for the garage. Buy a pair of these, plug it into the two outlets, connect via AAC or Bluetooth, connect with your Bluetooth connectivity, and have low resolution audio, which kind of defeats the purpose of the Dynaudio Xeos. But you could very easily set this up. There's no need for speaker wire, there's no need for anything. So you can take these, set it up, you're good to go. The one caveat that's different from the AM5s, the AM5s have a subwoofer output. These do not have a subwoofer output. Dynaudio has a solution for it via their Connect and Link box, but it doesn't frickin' work for squat. So you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna want that. And so if you plan on using these, I would highly recommend, so again, you can buy these and use them with your phone without doing anything else, but I would highly suggest we do ourselves a Bluesound NODE. This is how audio to the speakers. This is also how we have the ability to add a subwoofer like the amazing wireless combination, Dynaudio Xeos, Bluesound NODE, Dynaudio Sub 6. And so the way that this would connect very similarly to exactly the same as the PSB, where we have an optical input. This one is down lower here, so let me just tilt the speaker up so we can see it. So our optical in is here. I don't know why, but as soon as I connect anything optical, I immediately feel superior. Right? It feels like a superior connection. So I'm going to go optical in to my speakers. Same setup that we showed you on the, the Node setup is identical. And obviously our speaker would be plugged into the wall. Our other speaker would be, so our right speaker's plugged into the wall, our left speaker's plugged into the wall. The cool thing about Xeos is there's a master and a slave wirelessly, but you can choose which one's which, left or right. And so let's say you had an area where you only had one plug or one outlet. You would put the slave speaker, and if you had an area where you had two outlets, because you need one for each speaker, and it was just cleaner, you can choose left and right. And so then the magic of this system, again, Bluesound NODE is incredible. The Blue OS app is fantastic. Which we showed you in setup, the connectivity from your sort of instant on. You'll never have to touch the speakers. You'll never have to touch the Node, and you'll have yourself a fully functioning, fully wireless setup, which is really pretty incredible. Without the Node, I think the Xeos are a bad choice. With the Node, they're a pretty sound option. You're not going to get nearly as much amplitude as if we bought a pair of, like, say we bought a pair of Dynaudio Emits or Dynaudio Evokes with a POWERNODE or some bigger NAD amplifier. But if you truly have an area where you just can't get wires from left to right, the Xeo, this is why I'm carrying this, the Xeo is a pretty sound option. And again, if you choose this with a wireless subwoofer option, you can do the subwoofer, just choose the subwoofer add-on, and we can run a subwoofer as well. The other thing you may want to consider, go check out, we'll have a link in the description, go check out the video add-on options for these. It'd be the same for both. You couldn't have your TV set up on these unless you ran an optical cable. So the video add-on option would likely involve the Node, where it has audio return channel, and so we'd run an HDMI cable. We carry them in all sizes up to 50 feet, and so you would run to the audio return channel, the eARC channel here. So you'd run it from any new sort of smart TV into the Node. So if you wanted to use Apple TV, you'd put the TV or connect the Apple TV to your display, to your LG or your Sony or Samsung, whatever you have, and then you would run an HDMI cable from the ARC, usually input 2 on most televisions, to the eARC here, and it would have enhanced audio return. You'd be able to play through your Xeos or your AM5s. So the wireless stuff, again, not my preference, if you're getting into this, but if you're cost conscious and you want to start out a pair of AM5s, your next path would be to then add a subwoofer. Your then third path would be to add high-res audio, so you can kind of take these interim steps. The reason why we built the package out is so you can figure that out. You can see how that would work. Xeos, if you're on the Xeo level, I would just do the whole thing. Buy the subwoofer, buy a sub 6, buy the Node, and buy the Xeos, and it's a pretty nice, pretty awesome combination. If you have a really big garage, the Xeos don't have as much headroom as you would have. They're not going to play as loud. They'll play louder than you can stand, but if you have a really large area and you really like to let it rip, hit me up, Matt@obsessedgarage.com. We'll pick out something a little bit different. But these are the wireless versions. I think we're going to see more of these enter into our packages. Dynaudio does have a high-end solution coming out at some point, which I'm sure I'll want personally. So that high-end solution supposedly isn't going to need a Node at all. The other thing I'm looking at is Dali speakers, which is in partnership with from the same sort of Lenbrook family as PSB and Bluesound. I'm going to be testing some of those out in the future as well. But yeah, this wireless stuff is cool, man. I think you should consider it if your circumstances are like what I explained. If you don't have some extenuating circumstances, then we would want to do something a little bit different. But I'm telling you, a good pathway to audio in the garage, if you're just starting out and you're really cost conscious at the moment, let's get you a $600 pair of AM5s. You can start with these. You can run these without a subwoofer. I'm telling you, you'll enjoy the sound miles better than even like a Dynaudio Music or certainly any sort of JBL or whatever. What's that? UA or UE Boom, or something like that, like a little Bluetooth speaker. I'm telling you, these were shockingly good. Just when you open the box, don't expect $600 worth of sound quality, but don't expect $600 worth of, like, they're not, they're not pretty. You know, they're just inexpensive, cost-conscious speakers with you're really going to compete. The sound quality of these will compete with these. You know, the Dynaudios are a much nicer speaker. It's a more pleasant sound to me. But whatever the magic Paul Barton's doing with the waveguide on the front of the tweeter and the ferrofluid cooling of it, it doesn't sound like an aluminum dome tweeter, which works in a really harsh garage. So hit us up, support@obsessedgarage.com if you're confused by all of this. The best thing to do is just go to the product package and just work through the menu. Read the description, watch this video, and then click your options. And then the more money you spend, the better it's going to sound. That's pretty much the formula with this stuff. There are diminishing returns. Again, in my yarn building garage, I've got core 59s and 2-core subwoofers and an NAD C685. It's like a $20,000 system. That certainly is going to sound better than a pair of AM5s, but this rivals the overall sound quality of something like that. It just doesn't have the amplitude. So thanks for your support, and hit up obsessedgarage.com if to dig into this stuff. And yeah, I appreciate it if you buy this stuff from me. It really does help me chase these ideas. They thought I was nuts saying garage audio. Who would want that? I think there's lots of us that do. I'm telling you, if you haven't experienced it, even if you just start out with a gateway drug here, get it in your garage. It makes the whole garage experience that much better. Thanks for watching. See you soon.